I was at our local Target, picking up an online order for my girlfriend, Sarah, when everything started to unravel. She'd asked me to grab some shampoo and hygiene items, deodorant, lotion, stuff like that, since she was running low. I was near the store anyway for a haircut, so I agreed. But when I got to the customer service counter and gave them her name, they handed me a bag with a pregnancy test in it. I stood there, completely shocked and confused. I told them this wasn't what she'd mentioned. I checked the name and phone number on the bag. It matched Sarah's, so it couldn't have been a mix-up. The employee checked the system again and brought out a second bag with the shampoo and stuff she told me about. 2 separate orders under her name. One with the hygiene items, placed about 12 hours before, and another with just the pregnancy test, which she'd never mentioned. I took both bags and sat in my car for 10 minutes, staring at that pregnancy test, trying to make sense of it. Why would she hide this from me? Why send me to pick up her order knowing there was another one waiting? Did she forget? Was she hoping to grab it herself later? The thing that really got me was there was no way I could have gotten her pregnant. We always use protection, always. I'm careful about that because neither of us is ready for kids. We've talked about a family someday, but not now. An accidental pregnancy would derail both our careers, we'd agreed on that early on. Sarah and I had been together for just under a year. We didn't live together, both worked full-time, and were exclusive, as far as I knew. Things had been going great until recently. We had our issues, like any couple, but nothing major enough to push either of us to do something drastic. She'd always been affectionate, seemed really into me. We'd text throughout the day, see each other a few times a week, usually spending at least one weekend day together. But about 3 months ago, I started noticing her spending a lot of time on the phone with her friend Jessie. She always said Jessie was just a good friend, nothing more. Yet she'd be on the phone with him constantly, even when we were out together. We'd be at dinner, and she'd excuse herself to take his call, or she'd be texting him while we watched a movie. I tried not to overthink it. I didn't want to be the controlling boyfriend who dictates who she can talk to. One time, we were at this Italian place I'd been dying to try for months. I finally got reservations, but halfway through our appetizers, her phone rang, and she immediately got up to take the call. She was gone for 15 minutes. Our entree came while she was still outside talking to him. When she came back, she acted like it was normal to leave me at dinner to talk to another guy. She said it was important but wouldn't explain why. From what I could hear, their conversations didn't seem suspicious. Just normal friend stuff, talking about their days, some inside jokes I didn't get, and occasionally his kids. Jesse's a single dad raising 2 young boys after his ex left, or something. I never got the full story. Sarah would mention how hard it must be for him, how she admired him for stepping up. She'd get this weird look in her eyes when she talked about him, but I tried not to read too much into it. She told me they'd met through mutual friends a few years ago and kept in touch online. According to her, they'd never been more than friends. I asked once if they'd ever hooked up, and she got defensive, saying, "Not everyone wants to sleep with their friends," making me feel ridiculous for asking. But then, about a month and a half ago, she dropped a bomb. She was going to visit Jesse, who lives 2 states away. She said it like it was nothing, just that they'd been friends for years, and she wanted to see him and meet his kids in person. I couldn't go. I had work, and honestly, she didn't invite me. When I asked if I could come, she said it wasn't a good time because of my schedule. I told her I wasn't comfortable with her visiting a male friend out of state alone. Any reasonable person would feel the same, right? But she insisted Jesse was just a friend, nothing to worry about. She said she'd be staying at his place, but since he's a single dad with 2 young boys, nothing could happen. She even said, "What do you think is going to happen with 2 little kids running around?" We argued about it. A big one. I explained how it looked. My girlfriend suddenly wanting to stay with some single guy I'd never met, in another state. She accused me of not trusting her, said if I was this insecure, maybe we should rethink our relationship. That shut me up quick. I cared about her and didn't want to lose her. Despite my concerns, she went anyway. She agreed to share her location to ease my mind, which I appreciated, but it still felt off. The whole week she was gone, I was on edge. She'd text occasionally, updates, pictures of them at the park or zoo with his kids, but the messages felt forced, like she was trying too hard to prove everything was innocent. I checked her location a few times, okay, maybe more, and she was always at what I assumed was his house or some family-friendly spot nearby. No real reason to suspect anything, but I had this nagging gut feeling. She was gone for a week, came back like nothing happened, showed me pictures of her, Jesse, and his kids at a park, and talked about how cute his boys were. We moved on. I tried to let it go. I didn't want to be the guy who can't trust his girlfriend. One thing bugged me, though. When I asked to see a picture of Jesse alone, curious what he looked like, she scrolled through her phone and said she didn't have any good ones, just photos with the kids. I thought it was odd but didn't push it. Back to the pregnancy test. When I got home that day, I gave her the bag with the shampoo and didn't mention the test at first. I wanted to see if she'd bring it up. She didn't. We hung out normally for a few hours, watched TV, but later that night, I asked why there was a pregnancy test in her order. She looked surprised, said she had no idea, didn't order one. I asked her to show me her Target app to prove it. She got defensive, said it was probably her sister, who sometimes uses her account. She claimed women use pregnancy tests for things like regulating PMS, not just pregnancy. That sounded like nonsense to me. Why would her sister order a test to Sarah's Target instead of her own, 20 minutes away? Why order it online for pickup instead of buying one in person? Her sister's married, has a 3-year-old, and has said they're done having kids. It didn't add up. When I pressed, she got irritated, called me paranoid and accusatory. She said maybe it was a mistake, or Target mixed up orders, but both receipts had her name and number. I had no proof she was lying, so I let it go for the moment. She assured me she wasn't pregnant, that the test wasn't about cheating on her trip. Things were tense after that. She seemed distant, was on her phone more, started taking it to the bathroom, something she never did. She'd switch apps or put it away when I walked in. Classic sketchy behavior, right? One night at dinner, she made a point to prove she wasn't pregnant by ordering cocktails, saying, "See, I wouldn't drink if I was pregnant," and ordered multiple drinks. It felt performative, not like she was enjoying our date. I never saw the pregnancy test again. Don't know if she took it, threw it away, or what. It vanished. I looked in her bathroom trash, found nothing. Maybe she disposed of it elsewhere, or never took it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. The timing was too suspicious. She visits Jesse, who she talks to constantly. Then 2 weeks later, there's a pregnancy test she hid. She'd been acting different since she got back, less affectionate. We used to have sex 2 or 3 times a week, but since her trip, it was maybe once, and it felt like she was just going through the motions. She spent more time on her phone, started going out with her girlfriends more, though I couldn't verify if she was really with them. One night, she said she was meeting her friend Ashley for drinks. I was bored and, feeling insecure, drove by the bar they usually go to. Kind of stalkerish, I know. Her car wasn't there. When she got home, I casually asked how Ashley was. She launched into a detailed story about Ashley's boyfriend issues, too much detail, like she was convincing me they'd been together. Things stayed tense. She'd get annoyed at little things that never bothered her before. I'd catch her staring off with a worried look. When I'd ask what was wrong, she'd say, "Nothing," or, "I'm just tired." I thought about asking if something happened with Jesse but was afraid of the answer. I realized that, while we use protection, there's a technical chance I could have gotten her pregnant. But I'm careful. Without getting too personal, I never finish inside her to reduce any risk until we're ready. That's why the pregnancy test made me think she cheated. Some suggested I talk to her again, but others said to check her phone for evidence. I wasn't sure about that. It felt wrong to invade her privacy, but I was going crazy. Trusting her got me nowhere, and confronting Jesse wasn't an option. I didn't have his contact info, and it might just let them coordinate stories. Last night, I couldn't take it anymore. I hadn't slept, couldn't eat, kept replaying everything. I drove to her apartment while she was at work. She'd given me a key months ago to feed her cat during a business trip. I found her iPad on the coffee table. I know some will judge me, but I was desperate. I tried her birthday as the password, and it worked. She's always been careless with passwords, using the same one for everything. I know it was wrong, but I had to know. I went through her messages and found a thread with Jesse she'd never mentioned. It was clear they'd had sex multiple times during her visit. The messages were explicit, no mistaking what happened. He wrote things like, "I can't stop thinking about that night. Kids are asleep. Wish you were here in bed with me." Her replies made me sick. It wasn't their first time either. There were references to hooking up years ago, before me. There were messages about a pregnancy scare. A few days after her trip, she texted him she was late and freaking out. He told her to take a test. A couple of days later, she wrote, "False alarm. Not pregnant, just stress." He sent a relieved emoji, said, "Thank God. Not ready for kid number 3 yet. Lol. I was devastated. I hadn't eaten or slept since. The worst part? They were laughing about me. She told him I was suspicious but too trusting to figure it out. They joked about how I bought her story about nothing happening with his kids around. Apparently, the kids were at their grandparents' for 2 nights she was there. I felt like an idiot. All those times she was on the phone with him while I was in the room, clueless. Hello. Thanks for watching and being part of this journey. If you enjoy story like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support means the world. Now let's dive into the story. I'm waiting to confront her, but I don't know how. I'm afraid she'll turn it around, make me the bad guy for invading her privacy. At this point, I just want it over with. Some said to gather more evidence, but what I saw is enough. Others suggested ghosting her, but that feels childish for a relationship of almost a year. I want to look her in the eye when I end it. She was my first real girlfriend in a long time, and now I feel like an afterthought. I put so much into this, rearranged my life, introduced her to my family, even thought about asking her to move in when our leases were up. And she was cheating the whole time. From their messages, it didn't seem they used protection either. There was a gross joke from him about his pulling out game. So reckless, adding another layer to this mess. Last night, I finally told Sarah we needed to talk. She tried to reschedule, said she was busy, but I insisted on seeing her in person. She told me to come to her place at 8 p.m. I wanted to stay calm, wrote down key points so she couldn't derail me. When I got there, she acted normal, offered me a drink, asked about my day. I declined the drink to keep a clear head. She tried to cuddle up on the couch, but I moved away, said we needed to talk about something serious. I told her things had felt off since her trip. She said I was making it weird by thinking she cheated, insisted the pregnancy test wasn't hers, that she and Jesse just hung out, watched movies with his kids, went to local attractions. She got defensive, called me insecure, said my accusations were pushing her away, making her reconsider our relationship. I let her deny everything, then said, "I know you cheated because I saw your messages with Jesse." Her face dropped, pure panic for a split second. Then she got mad. "You went through my messages without me knowing? That's so messed up and creepy," she said. We argued. I told her my suspicions were right, and she was deflecting. I asked for her phone to show her the messages, knowing they were explicit. I could have shown screenshots from her iPad, but I wanted to see if she'd deleted them or how she'd react. She refused, said, "We're not married. We don't live together. You don't own or control me." When I tried to focus on her cheating, she kept harping on my violation of her privacy. She wouldn't admit anything, even when I mentioned specific messages. She claimed I misunderstood them, that she and Jesse have an open communication style that might seem inappropriate to outsiders. Unbelievable. She thought I'd buy that after reading explicit texts about them having sex. I agreed going through her iPad was wrong but ended it quickly. I put her key on the coffee table, said, "You cheated, plain and simple. Goodbye and good luck," and walked out. She didn't try to stop me. Later, she texted, saying she was sorry. At first, she claimed Jesse was an old boyfriend she never told me about, that they dated years ago before me, and the messages were old. I called her out. The dates were recent. Then she switched stories, swore she didn't mean to cheat, that Jesse got her drunk, and it led to sex. She assured me she wasn't pregnant. I don't know what to believe. I told her, "Good. because I don't want anything tying me to you. I wished her luck again and haven't responded since. She called a few times this morning. I ignored her. She sent a long text about how sorry she is, how it was a mistake, how she wishes she could take it back. Classic stuff you say when you're only sorry you got caught. I'm relieved but devastated. I talked to my friend Eric, who said his ex cheated on him too. She tried contacting him years later when the guy she left him for turned out to be a bum. He warned me Sarah might try to come back once she realizes what she's lost. I told him I'd never take her back, not after this. He said people do stupid things when they're lonely or their ego's bruised. Thanks to everyone who's supported me. It means a lot to have people who understand what I'm going through.